All right, guys. So we got a special treat for you coming. He was a guest here last year. We loved having him on. Loved interacting with the Evansville community, the team, everyone that supports the team, all the fans. We got head coach, Coach Wes Carroll, here with us again today on the Super Acquaintances College Baseball Podcast. So, Coach Carroll, any fun things happen over the off season, vacations, team trips, anything like that?
Yeah, a lot of great things has happened around our program, and the interaction was great with your podcast last year, and obviously on social media. We have a great following of alumni fans, but also our parents. Our parents of our team are very engaged in our culture and everything that we have going on. So it's going to be another fun, rowdy year with our parents and our fans, and just showcasing our personality on the field, like what we started to see last year. But just an overall great off season for us, summer, hitting the ground running with recruiting, and then coming in and bringing in some quality players that are going to fill some important needs, and just an overall great momentum going into the season for sure.
Yeah. So I know you had said, the team's looking solid with a lot of guys coming back. Who are some of the big notables you're looking to produce, kind of be those team leaders statistically coming back?
Well, we are. It's very unique for us, throughout my time, for us to have, the amount of impactful players returning is something that I haven't experienced a lot of, and so, this year, we have multiple returning first-year all-conference players, including the pitcher of the year in the Missouri Valley Conference last year, Nick Smith. So it's great to be able to have that horse on Friday for us coming back. He's fully healthy and has looked great all throughout the fall through preseason. And then if you look at from a position player standpoint, having Mark Schallenberger back in the lineup, coming back after a first team all conference campaign, Brent Witter returning as well. And then, preseason all conference selection, Simon Sherry. It was great to see him get notoriety going into the season. So it's great to be able to have a lot of upperclassmen, and at the college level, it's about being old and winning whenever you're
Mm-hmm.
old. And so I think that's a winning recipe, and we've been able to add a couple pieces that'll help with that as well. But just looking at those four guys returning are kind of the base and the foundation of hopefully our lineup, but also our rotation. And then just what I feel like we have from just an upperclassman standpoint, overall talent wise, guys with a significant amount of college at bats. It's just going to be a formidable lineup that we're going to be able to go and compete in the Missouri Valley Conference, and hopefully on a bigger scale.
Yeah, and I know Mark's dad might be our biggest fan on Twitter so far. So talking about the conference, Brennan, one of the guys that was on last time, he wanted me to ask this question for you. So all last year, you guys were kind of looked at as an underdog going into a lot of series and in the conference and stuff. So now that you're the favorite to win the MVC this year, what kind of challenges do you expect to see, maybe mentally, any roadblocks you see between now and actually winning the conference as the favorite?
Yeah, it's always a concern. Our program throughout's always been an underdog kind of story, and we have always played with an enormous chip on our shoulder. And now, with us getting, preseason third in some polls and some people putting us as possibly, front runners up top, I think we're going to have a little bit of a target on our back, and we're not going to sneak up on anybody. People are going to know that, we have a really good offense. We have, a good rotation with some great back end guys, and we can defend. And we're going to be that gritty team that just plays with a lot of life and personality. And so, it's a fun position to be in. I'll tell you that, and for us, to be able to handle whatever adversity comes through the course of the season, I think is always comes back to our culture. And I think our culture is very strong, and we're going to be able to handle whatever it is that's thrown at us. Obviously, every coach in the country right now thinks they're going to be pretty good. First bullet hasn't been fired yet. And so, when we get punched in the mouth, how are we going to be able to handle, that overall
Mm-hmm.
adversity? Feel like we have a lot of high character guys and a lot of great leadership that are going to be able to help and assist, being able to navigate through our tough times.
Yeah, I know one of the coaches I coached 15U with over the summer, he always said, if you get punched in the mouth, kick him back in the gut. So I'm
I like,
glad you brought up the bullet, because I know the last time we talked to you was post Tulane when you were able to sneak up on them. Uh, is there any bullets that are going to get fired going into opening week, or are you kind of saving those rounds for those big series like Tulane?
well, no, I think it's very important, over my career, being kind of a northern school, we've always got out of the gates really slow, and last year was no different. And so I think it's important for us to understand the urgency of getting, urgency of being able to get out of the gates hot. I think that's going to be so crucial. We feel like we have a team, at the end of May, at the beginning of May, that can be in a position for an at-large or, having a chance to win the tournament this year or win the conference outright. But in order to do that, every game matters. And so we can't afford our first 13 games of the season at a 3-10 clip, a 6-7 clip. We got to come out hot. And I think there is a sense of urgency from that. Over the last couple of years, or the years that we've had really good teams that have kind of been borderline RPI, our first 10 games of the season have really hurt us just so from an overall record standpoint. So I think we just need to have a real sense of urgency. It's a very challenging schedule. If you look at the first 13 games, we open up at Troy, who's a very special club, their brand new stadium down there, and Skylar Mead's done such a great job just in the couple of years he's been there. And then our first 3 midweeks, we're looking at UK, at SEMO, and at Vanderbilt. And then on top of that, we have a 3-game set at home against Eastern Michigan and a 4-game set at home against Bowling Green State. So you're looking at those 13 games. There are some very, very challenging.
There's some big clubs there.
Absolutely.
Any teams, whether it be from a travel aspect, the stadium that you're going to be playing at, is there any series not at home you're looking forward to?
Oh, I always like getting on the road early in the season, just kind of see how your club can manage and handle. And obviously Troy, I'm real excited. I've never been down there. They're a very good mid-major program, and we feel like we're a very good mid-major team as well. And I think it's going to be a great college baseball weekend and series for fans to watch and see. I think they have a very, very good lineup, a lot of great arms. And so I'm really looking forward to the overall trip to Troy this weekend. But obviously, a lot of our midweeks, I always enjoy going over to UK. That stadium is magnificent. And then obviously Vanderbilt, just continue to learn each and every year off of Coach Corbin and just how he runs his program. And then, we have a home series with Purdue, but it's kind of weird because we've got a midweek with them as well. So we've got Purdue on the docket for 4 games. And so I've never been up there. I've never been up there either. But all in all, if you look at just the overall Missouri Valley Conference as well, as this changed drastically. And I'm anxious to kind of see how the Valley is going to look this year. Dallas Baptist going to the Conference USA, they have been a major RPI, a big RPI program within our conference. Losing them and then adding 3 in UIC, Murray State, and Belmont. It's going to be interesting to see what the dynamic of the Missouri Valley Conference is now that we have 9 Valley weekends instead of the traditional 7 that we've always had over the past 10 years. So really from an RPI standpoint, competitive standpoint, the Missouri Valley Conference should be really, really strong and good. I'm just anxious to see how it all unfolds whenever people are looking at the RPI at the end of the year.
Yeah, and adding in those extra couple weeks of conference play kind of could put a big twist on towards the end of the season on who's on top in the conference. So you guys are going down to Vanderbilt. Are there any plans outside of just trying to upset a big team while you're down in Nashville?
Yeah, we're doing it. It's on our spring trip, so we're kind of going to we're going to Vanderbilt on Wednesday and then making the trek over to Murfreesboro to play a 3-game set with Middle Tennessee State. So we'll kind of make it a whole week kind of trip. It's not too far away. I'm sure we'll have some good food. Hattie's really good chicken, and so I'm sure we'll be feeding our guys well. But that stretch is going to be very, very challenging as we get on the road going and facing Vandy and then going to Middle Tennessee State, who's projected to have a very good season as well.
Yeah, and the good food in Nashville's everywhere. If you get a chance, you got to go down to I got married down there back in September, and I think every day we were down there for a week, and I think 4 days out of that week, me and my wife went to Martin's Barbecue.
Martin's Barbecue.
She went once, right, and that's the only place she wanted to go was Martin's every single day.
There you go.
So with a couple of big guys returning, some of the older guys, do you have any official team captains?
No, I don't do the team captains. I think everybody kind of just knows who, because I want to empower all of our players to feel like there's part of something bigger than themselves. Obviously, it doesn't matter what class you're in. If you handle yourself the right way, people are going to follow and listen. And if you have something to say to help somebody, they're gonna pay attention. And so I've never really done the overall captain's things, but what I will say is we have a lot of great leadership in all of our classes. And it's in different ways as well. Some of your most talented players might not be as vocal, but
Mm-hmm.
some of your guys that are consistent and do things the right way, both on and off the field, they might be more vocal and more impactful. What I do know is that there's no wall up between our players and our coaching staff. We are all in this together, and that's something that we strive for in our overall culture. I feel like whenever things get challenging and get tough, the better teams kind of run towards each other instead of run away from each other. And I feel like that's why we have a lot of great things going on right here at U of E. Is that type of feel, that type of family atmosphere is genuine. It's real. And hopefully it leads to a lot of wins and a lot of individual accolades as well.
Yeah, so I know last year we kind of talked about what kind of statistics you look at, and you brought up RE24 was what you were kind of looking at last year. Is there any new ones you're looking at this year, or just kind of going off the same boat as last year since you had some success last year with it?
Yeah, we've really upped our overall technology game here at UE, and I think it's really helped in the overall development of our players. The addition of TrackMan a couple of years ago, it was easy transition as far as the pitchers to be able to dive into the TrackMan numbers and get an overall feel for it. But now we're kind of just at the tip of the iceberg of what we're able to get from a hitting standpoint. As guys get more and more data in the TrackMan, you start to understand and see and tell a story of, what kind of hitter strengths and weaknesses are. And so with more and more data coming in on that, I feel like we can really help and assist with the overall development of our hitters. But then also we just really dove in from a pitching standpoint on the pulse bands. I feel like that has really helped us, and we're utilizing that data. And the pulse bands just kind of tracks your overall wear and tear and intensity each and every time your hand goes
Mm-hmm.
above your shoulder. I think it's really helped in our overall 7-day throwing program for our pitchers to kind of get a feel for, when they can be. Number one day, the most important day is whenever they toe the rubber, and you want them to be as confident as they possibly can be. In order to feel confident, you got to feel strong. And so I feel like we've been able to adjust some of the guys' programs based on a lot of that data to make sure that they're competing at the highest level and most importantly, with a lot of confidence. So we're kind of, piecing together a lot of our technology. We're very fortunate to have a really good circle of people who care and are bought in, from our athletic training department, Eric Harcourt, to Brady Stevens, our strength and conditioning coach. Everything is kind of in sync for player development. And we're utilizing a lot of the different data and also a lot of the, movement screenings that we do consistently, and then how they move in the weight room as well, all going hand in hand together. And we're seeing some great growth and development from all of our guys.
Yeah, so for people listening that don't know, like some of the stuff you can get off of, I'm assuming the TrackMan's similar to the hit tracks, same kind of concept. You can
Yeah.
get things like line drive percentage, launch angle, exit velo if you want to go simply. What kind of things? I know those are the three big things that I'm when I'm working with the older kids that I coach. I'm looking at what's their average launch angle compared to their swing, line drive percentage, hard hit percentage, things like that. What kind of things are you looking at when you're doing the hit tracks and TrackMan stuff with them?
Yeah, we look at a lot of that. Also, kind of the hot cold zones within the strike zone, kind of seeing where barrels are being delivered at, where their weaknesses are. Also, chase. Where do you seem to chase quite a bit? Is it up, on top of the zone, or are
Mm-hmm.
you chasing one way? So you can kind of get a feel for the different patterns that our guys get into, and then certain launch angles on inside pitches. I think it can be some swing mechanics that you kind of work into as far as how we rotate down, getting inside and underneath and staying on the one side of the baseball. The flight of the ball tells you everything about your swing. And I think TrackMan does a great job of just recognizing, everything that kind of is going in. And then we do a significant amount of video from the side, from the front, where it kind of can match together with what the TrackMan story is telling us.
Yeah, I know. Before I had the ability to use the hit tracks machine that I have at this facility I'm at now, I was always taking videos of kids, and one kid actually asked me, he's like, Coach, why do you take videos of me every single swing? It's like, 'cause I can say it to you all I want, but if I don't show it, if you don't see it, it's going to be completely different. So kind of veering off the baseball talk. Last year, you guys never really told us what guac meant.
Yeah,
What did guac mean last year?
or get up Ace Country. And so get up Ace Country is a slogan that a former assistant coach here, would always say each and every day at practice. And, then if you just take the GUAC, it spells out guac. And I think our guys and our family and, the family members and the fans just kind of took off with it. And so that's just kind of each letter means get up Ace Country.
Yeah.
And that was our slogan. And we kind of ran with it.
So is there a new phrase this year? Or are you just sticking with guac and just letting it ride?
Probably stick with guac, and like I said, a lot of it's got to be organic, and each team takes on its own personality. I'm sure we'll grab hold of something. Usually when things happen organically, that means success is happening, and so hopefully with success comes just where the direction of this team kind of goes. And so I'm excited about it. I think we have a lot of great personalities, and I think they're going to showcase their personalities on the field. I want them to. We have an electric dugout that's bought into one another, but also we got to make sure that we can have a lot of fun. We like to say nobody has more fun than the Aces. However, we got to keep respecting the game and respect our opponent, and hopefully we never cross that line.
That goes back to that old saying, it's a kid's game. So
Yep.
Never forget it's a kid's game. So last year you kind of said your phrase, after that two-lane series was, if you play the ball better than the other team plays the ball, you'll win games. Is that kind of your main coaching philosophy, or are you kind of picking a different phrase every year?
Absolutely. No, I think that's been a staple of just kind of truth. It means, I remember back in the 90s playing at the University of Evansville and going to playing Wichita State. And by the way, Wichita State in the 90s were pretty darn special. That 98 Wichita State team is probably the best college baseball team I've ever seen, played against, or coached against. And I just remember being intimidated by the uniform. Anytime you play the Shockers, you get a little intimidated back in the 90s. And so I just remember that as a player. And, we have a lot of great programs and teams on our schedule year in, year out. It's just understanding that you're not playing the uniform. You're playing against the baseball. And if it's a game. And it's a game. And if you have the ability to manipulate the baseball and play against it better than your opponent, you're going to be put in a position to win baseball games. And so, and that kind of goes hand in hand with the overall freebies and free bases that you can look, the free 90s that you're given from walks, hit by pitches, balks, stolen bases against. You can really break it down and just understand that it is a game. And it's about being prepared to play against the baseball. Now, some of these teams you're going to play against, some of these pitchers, they can manipulate the baseball really good. Mm-hmm. And the game is more challenging and tough. But what I'm trying to do is to eliminate playing against the uniform, playing against the environment, playing against the atmosphere, and just focus on playing against the baseball and be prepared for it when it comes your way, or be prepared to do some damage to the baseball as well.
Yeah, that reminds me of a story with your Wichita State moment. One of my buddies I used to coach with, he used to always tell guys to be intimidating. That's why we make noise in the warm-ups, like organizing warm-ups, because he said he played baseball in Pennsylvania, and it was like 30 degrees outside because it was a mid-March game, and the team they're playing is out there, no long sleeves, no hoodies, just a t-shirt, taking ground balls barehanded. And he's like, as soon as I looked over and I saw our whole team just standing there watching, he's like, I knew right then we were losing that game.
And the mindset is such an important factor when it comes to playing the game. That's for sure.
Yeah. So what's the favorite memory from last year you have from the season?
Just seeing the personalities and seeing our guys gel, and being with them on the bus, being with them, off the field at restaurants and, in the hotels, just understanding that, through my 14 years, I'm in my 15th year now, but through my 14 years, we've had some ups and downs here. And, just really get an understanding of what it needs to look like from a culture standpoint, from a standpoint of our guys playing with absolutely zero fear and letting it rip, to something that really hit home with me last year is when my SID came up into our office and told me Brent Witter was first team all conference. Brent was a young man, and it hit me extremely emotional. And he's a young man that believed in this place, coming off a really poor season from our standards, and he committed to us. He came into our program, and worked his tail off, and has always done things the right way. And for him to get rewarded by having a successful campaign in the Missouri Valley Conference, awarding him first team all conference, really meant a lot to me, and really just the overall turnaround we've had as a program, since those couple rough years as we started to embark on a full rebuild. So I think that was a great overall memory, for just how the overall snapshot of our program is. And I know we're set up for sustained success in the near future.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure I saw you guys have 3 or 4, maybe 5 preseason all conference guys coming into the season.
Yeah, we have 4. We have 4: Nick Smith, Mark Schallenberger, Brent Witter, and Simon Sherry. That's the most of any other team in the Missouri Valley Conference. So, like I said, we're not going to sneak up on anybody, and we have some talented young men. But we're also, leaving out a couple guys that are going to be very impactful this year. With Chase Hugg, the summer that he had up in the Northwoods, he's doing some elite things in the batter's box right now from the left side, and he's going to slide in that 3-hole for us. And then we had a bounce back kid from IU named Kip Foogers, who's an absolute beast in the batter's box. And so those are going to be some names you're definitely going to hear about this year, and they're going to be very impactful.
So any incoming freshmen we should keep note of throughout the season?
Absolutely. We have 2 arms that are really going to help us. One, Max Hansman's been absolutely electric for us. Young man from the Chicago area, and has come in and really handled the mental side of being a freshman as well. You got to think, we're still in the COVID days. This is kind of our last COVID year. Next year will be our last COVID year. And, you've got 18-year-old kids coming in and competing against grown-ass men who have played a significant amount of baseball. Mm-hmm. And so he has not been scared one bit. He's been really, really electric. And now it's about easing him into the season, putting him in the right positions of success so that he can build off of it and then hopefully have a larger role as we get midway through the season. So we have another left-handed pitcher, Willard Peterson, that I feel like, can kind of slide into a starting midweek role at some point through the course of the year. So those are a couple of freshmen to kind of keep an eye on. And then we have some developmental guys with our freshmen, because we're so upperclassmen heavy as far as starters and important roles on the pitching staff, that we're kind of in a position where we can kind of ease them in. We're not going to be throwing people to the fire that are not ready or prepared for, and we're going to ask too much. So really like the situation that we're in with our entire roster and the balance that we have.
Yeah, I feel like that's something we could go days talking about, examples of guys that may have had the talent for the moment, but didn't have the experience or the confidence for the moment, and ended up possibly derailing what could have been, a decent college career, maybe even a minor league or professional career. So it sounds like you guys are set up for a prime run at the conference, getting that tournament bid. I know after talking to you, I'm ready to go suit up for Evansville, go play some first base again. So just
time to go out and do it. We can sit here and talk about all we want in the preseason, about how confident we are and the lineup that we feel like can be good, and our rotation and everything. Now it's about just going out and getting it done and being able to handle whatever adversity comes our way.
Well, one of the big things I've noticed now that I'm coaching baseball, not playing baseball, growing up, I thought, oh, we have a bunch of studs on our team, we're going to win tournaments. And now that I'm coaching, I realize I have a lot of studs on my team, and when I don't coach them well, we don't win as many games, or when we're not coaching to get the best out of them, we're not winning games. So they're not, so I'm now realizing how much coaching goes into winning games. So I'm excited to see what Evansville does this year. Yeah.
And I think that's always your challenge as a coach, is it starts in practice. If your best players can practice hard, I think it sets the tone and sets the example for everybody. If your best players are not practicing hard, and, it's tough to cut their legs out from underneath them and leadership roles and everything. But, that's always the balance. It's getting your best players to practice hard and consistent day in, day out, so they can be really great examples for the younger guys. And it shows that, they're good on the, during game for a reason, is because they're consistent and playing it and practicing at a high level. And so that's always your challenge. And, we're fortunate that we've got our best players are some of our best practice players as well. And I think it really bodes well for our overall culture and dynamic and the direction we want to go in.
Yeah, it's like one of my favorite sayings I like to use is guys who hit a lot are going to hit a lot. So if I'm hitting a lot for 4 or 5 days from Monday to Thursday, come Friday to Sunday, I'm going to be hitting a lot then too. And that's one of those things kids don't realize it until they see the work being put in by somebody else, and then they get outperformed in the game because they didn't do the work, during the week. So we got three rapid fire questions for you just to wrap it
Yeah.
up here. What's your favorite place to eat in Evansville?
Ooh, I'm a pizza guy. So I love Troni's. We're located in a great location. Troni's, Kipley's, Pizza King. Love pizza. We have some great pizza joints here close.
What's your favorite thing to do to relax after practice, between series, things like that?
Well, I love NFL football. That's kind of my distraction. I'm a diehard Miami Dolphins football fan. I have two kids, so I'm always trying to be around them as far as soccer and baseball. And so, outside of my kids, it's definitely NFL football. I'm getting locked in on what the Miami Dolphins are doing. Here we are getting ready to go into draft mode. Just locked in the defensive coordinator, Victor. And I'm anxious to see the health of Tua Tagovailoa. So that's my kind of escape to get away from baseball a little bit, is some NFL football and that.
Yeah, I'm a diehard Cowboys fan.
Yeah.
So I get upset all the time. So I love seeing teams like the Dolphins and the Bengals be below average for NFL standards for so long. And then just all of a sudden, it seems like out of nowhere, they're just running the show in the league.
Oh, yeah.
Last question. What's the best ballpark you've played in or coached in?
Been very fortunate to play. I grew up in a bubble called Newburgh, Indiana, and had the opportunity to play professionally and, climb my way all the way up to AAA. So I have to say there was a lot of great AAA baseball parks, Sacramento, Albuquerque, Vegas, just some really unique cities and ballparks that I was very fortunate to be able to play in. Never broke through to the major leagues, but the AAA circuit, in the Pacific Coast League, was a lot of fun. That's for sure. And there's some beautiful ballparks out there. College baseball wise, Arkansas has an unbelievable setup, and UK's new stadium is really nice as well. And just being able to play and coach in some really unique kind of environments. And there's still a lot on the bucket list that hopefully I can get on my schedule. 2024, we're going down to the Dude at Mississippi State, which I'm really looking forward to. And
I'm already excited to see that game.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. And so just trying to create those types of, unique experiences for our student athletes. But I just appreciate you having me on, man, and following what the Aces baseball program is all about and the direction we're going in. And so hopefully the interaction is great throughout the year. And, maybe we can do this again sometime.
I'd love to do, after a big series win, or maybe hopefully after a conference win, have you back on.
That'd be great, man. Well, please stay in touch. Thank you so much.
Yep. That's all we got for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed this interview with Evansville Purple Aces head coach Wes Carroll.